So let's go to pharmacy services industry. Now, if you look at this industry, it has two areas, major areas. One is retail and one is wholesale. So very similar to the food industry. When we analyzed food industry, it was also, it could be divided by retail and wholesale. And it probably works in a similar way, but I think a bit different, because if we go to Walmart, and Walmart has kind of retail, but also they're a wholesale company, because they supply their own stores with their own product. And the interesting thing here that if you look at like let's say Walmart, they supply their own stores. They're not going to supply their competitor stores. At least I'm not aware of that they supply somebody. Whereas in pharmacy service industry, if the company has their own retail pharmacies, drugstores, and also have this part which is wholesale, they're going to supply not only their own pharmacies, but also they are going to supply other pharmacies which in the area. So they kind of don't discriminate. They don't try to create a competitive advantage by undercutting or not supplying to other pharmacy. So that's kind of a bit different. The second difference, which is huge, and it affects this industry quite a lot, there are a lot of legal regulations regarding this type of business. And major probably it could be margin regulations. It's not in every country, but in some countries there are certain regulations. So which is states that they cannot increase, put any price. Okay, they have to have certain margin requirements, and they couldn't go high on price, and that's it. And in this case, all the activities and all their profitability is limited by this. For example, I know that in Russia, I remember my company supplied pharmacists in 1992. And at that time, we had 50% margin from like production, so from manufacturer until the end customer. So it means that wholesaler, which was my company, and retailer, which is pharmacy, we have to split this 50% of margin only, which is not that much when you think about like all the expenses which you have to carry, and etc., etc., etc. Okay, so and in some countries, I'm not sure about United States or other countries, but this margin regulation is quite often present in a lot of countries. The second one is limitations on amount of pharmacists in different areas. So for example, in Australia, if you look at Sydney and you're planning to open the pharmacy, and you found the perfect premises, you found nice location, and you think, okay, yeah, I see the pharmacy is close by, but I will be better a business person. I can supply better product, better service, etc., etc. And you decide to open it. And the thing is that you wouldn't be allowed to do that. And the main reason, because the amount of pharmacies in certain area is limited, so to certain kind of, and that's why if you want to open the business like pharmacy in a certain area, you have to buy it from the existing business. Okay, that's the limitation. And why do we need to know it as investors? It means that companies, they're not going to have organic growth like retailers. Retailer, for example, Aldi, they see that Woolworths open the store, and they can open the store just close by, like 50 meters from Woolworths. But in this particular case, you won't be able to do that. Okay, and that's why a majority of companies they grow in this area by acquisitions or mergers. So they merge with other company, or they buy the network of pharmacies. Now, another thing which is important here, that if you are independent pharmacy, sometimes it's quite tough to compete with bigger pharmacies, like with chains. And the reason for that is not that they can sell and undercut with your prices. The reason that they can buy it cheaper, so they have higher margins. And because they have higher margins, they can have more products, higher profit, which can invest in advertisement, in marketing, and etc., etc. And as a result, individual pharmacists they struggle quite a lot. And if you look in US market, you practically won't find a lot of independent pharmacies. Majority of them, they are part of the chain in certain way of degree. Okay, maybe part of it, maybe full, maybe franchisee, but a lot of them, they part of bigger company. Okay. Another thing which is interesting about pharmacy services is the loyalty of the clients. And it's not the reason mostly that people would love this particular pharmacy and they go there. No, it's location. It's one thing. Secondly, I presume if you have a doctor and this doctor sends you to certain pharmacists, and this pharmacist knows you if you live in a local area, especially if you constantly use these services, they can provide better service. For instance, if you come to cardiologist and cardiologist prescribe you something, and then you went to therapist and therapist prescribe you something different, and then when you come to the pharmacist and pharmacist sees that these two drugs, they are not going to work together because one drug will suppress another drug. Pharmacists will notice that and will kind of adjust your treatment, maybe call to your doctor, discuss it, and maybe prescribe different type of medicine. Whereas if you buy in different pharmacies, most likely you will miss this type of service. Okay, that's why majority of people, if they buy certain drugs, they go and buy to one location. Okay, and another thing about this industry, that at the moment in a majority of countries, they have a high competition from other not pharmacy retailers. So high competition from other not pharmacy retailers. So I presume you see that in every Woolworths you can buy quite a lot of over-counter drugs, right? Like, and of course it hits the pharmacies. And if you compare this type of business, would say in Russia, you will see huge difference. When I tell, like for example, we had mom come in from Russia, and she saw in pharmacy, and she said, "Oh my goodness, look at this! All the beauty products you can buy in pharmacies in Ireland. A majority of pharmacies, they had hairdress salon with them, and kind of it's really strange if you go to Russia, because in Russia all pharmacies, they only sell drugs, okay, and nothing else.